Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live training webinar. My name is Ian. Before we get ready to hear from our special guest today, Monica Jones, I'd like to do a quick sound and screen check just to make sure that everyone can hear me clearly and see my screen. Awesome. All right, well, everybody, welcome. I think we are good to go. So it looks like we do have the confirmations there. So let's go ahead and jump into our next slide here. So again, today we are meeting with Monica Jones, and she is an originating branch manager with over 20 years in the mortgage industry. She is a top 1% loan officer, and she has an awesome Instagram there called the Your Mortgage Mama. So make sure you guys follow her on Instagram, and also probably some other socials as well too, right?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all the good stuff.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to ask you a few questions first, and then we'll get into the actual, I'll ask you some questions, and then we'll get into the actual, kind of turn it over to you, because I know you've probably got some great stuff to share on your screen, or in your account, I should say. So, but basically, we are hearing from Monica today. And so, Monica, could you just maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe your background, how long, obviously, you've got 20 years in the mortgage industry, what kind of volume do you see? Just give us a little information about who you are.
Awesome. Yes. So my name, obviously, Monica Jones. I am out of Benicia, California, which is a small town in Solano County. In the Bay Area here. So I'm married, been married to Mike Jones almost 18 years. Here in about 11 days, we'll be celebrating our anniversary.
Awesome.
I've got two boys, actually young men now, I should say. So my youngest is 16. He's a junior in high school. My oldest is 21, and he is actually a senior at Boise State. So I'm a super proud mama. My family, I would absolutely say, is like my number one driving force. A little bit about where like my business is at. So man, to be totally honest, these last couple of years have really just, dished me a bowl full of some humble pie. So I feel like I have built my business a lot around first-time home buyers. And it's probably a lot of people have experienced that first-time home buyer market really got kind of crushed as interest rates moved up so quickly. Affordability became a really big challenge. And so I'm really in the process of rebuilding my business and planting a lot of seeds and growing my relationship. So, I track my numbers very, very meticulously. And so I saw the shift starting for my business in October of 2021. So literally every single day we look at our leads, we look at our conversion, lead to application, lead to pre-approval, lead to close. And I started to see in October of 2021, because we look at it daily, when I looked week over week, I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Our lead to deal ratio dipped a little bit. And I saw that the following week and the following week. And I was like, you guys, the market is shifting. Like, I can see it right now. Our leads are still good. Our lead to app and pre-app is still really good, but lead to deal is going down. The market is shifting. So what that tells me is we're going to need more leads to close the same or fewer deals, right?
Right.
Those are the pieces that we, started making some adjustments to. So in the last 12 months, I've closed 50 million. I'm not where I want to be. My business has dropped significantly, but I'm excited because I feel like this market, although it's been tough and it's been challenging, I've gotten better, faster, and stronger. My team's gotten smaller, so we've had to get more efficient, more tight. I'm becoming more bold because I have to be, right? So, I feel like smooth seas have never made a skilled sailor. So I'm taking this time to become a really skilled sailor and looking at it as a good thing.
That's like really good advice. I think really right there is you have to go through some hardship to really kind of build and kind of, sharpen your teeth, I guess it is a good way of putting it too, but also kind of reinventing yourself. And like you said, be bolder and getting out there and maybe being a little bit more creative in what you're doing too. So So I
Yeah.
think this kind of leads into like another question I have over here, which is, you've got 20 years in the industry, and why have you been so successful? And I think that maybe that's probably, you're changing your strategies, you're having to move things around and like you said, kind of slim down your team a little bit, kind of go to that skeleton crew and just stay, real efficient. So now, where do most of your leads come from? How are you generating a lot of the leads now?
So majority of our leads are coming from realtors.
Okay,
So that's
got it.
been a really big focus of ours for many, many years.
Got it. Awesome. And now what are you doing to say, what do you do that like kind of separates you from the rest of your competition, or kind of gets you, or like what do you do to get the realtors to want to work with you essentially?
Oh man, I feel like there's a lot that we do, but I would say probably the most important piece, because here's the truth, you guys, when it comes to mortgages, like we all have the same products and we all have crappy rates. I mean, none of us have magic money, right? None of us
Right,
have had it the
right.
last couple of years. Like it is what it is. As soon as my company puts out this really special announcement about a new product, I'm like, woohoo! And then I go on social media and I'm like, see 5 people at different companies that are all announcing the same product, right? So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only thing that can separate us is our speed and our wow, our service, right? So
Right.
how quickly can we move? How can we give our clients a competitive edge when they do find a home that they love and they're ready to write an offer? How do we ensure we help them win and be successful in getting their offer accepted? That is something that we've really been kind of obsessed with, because about 30% of all sales here in the Bay are cash. So,
Wow. Okay.
again, being in the first time home buyer space, like, my low down payment borrowers, like, I got to position these people to compete almost like cash, even if they're doing
Right.
a low down payment. So
Definitely.
solving that has been really important. And then just our service. How do we wow our clients? How do we wow our realtors? How do we pour into our realtors? So I'm a part of a coaching program called The Core. It's the #1 lender and realtor coaching platform like in the
Wow.
country.
Cool.
As a student, I have access. I'm a student as a loan officer. I'm also a coach for The Core. But as a student, I have access to all of the realtor materials. So I use what the realtors are being taught, who are like the top, 400 in the nation. I'm using what they're doing and teaching that back to my agents so that I can provide value
Got
and
it.
help love on them and pour into them for their business.
Right.
So that's one of the ways that we're providing wow. And then communication. I would say if you ask any realtor their #1 complaint about the mortgage process or lending in general is lack of communication. Where are my leads at? Where's my deal at? Has the appraisal been ordered? When is it due back, right? They've got to
Right.
constantly chase and follow up. And so that's where I think we've really been able to win, is like getting those inbound phone calls for us and for our team. If a realtor has to call me and ask, hey, what's going on with my lead? Hey, has the appraisal been ordered? Like, we have failed. We have let them down. Like, we did not do our job. And so our goal is to, always get ahead and be proactive in communication. And Jungo is a huge part of that for us, because, as you grow your business, if you've got 1 or 2 deals, you can make the phone call, you can send the text every time right away. But, as the leads grow, as the deals grow, you've got to be able to do it really quickly and efficiently. And that's where, Jungo for us, it's like adding another person on the team, truly. And that has been a massive game changer. So I get a ton of great feedback from agents about our communication, and most of it happens through Jungo.
Awesome. I love hearing this, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are doing or how you use it. Before we kind of hop in, and I know that Jungo's been kind of a big, like you said, adds another person to the team. I think that especially like through the automations and things like that. So and you're saying that how important communication is, would you say that this is maybe like a common mistake that loan officers make, maybe is not having as good a communication? Because I know that that's one of the things that we strive at Jungo to kind of close those communication gaps for you guys.
Yes. And I would say, like, if I was competing against a loan officer in a market, like I'm going to sell really hard against that. Because I'm going to say, man, how many times have you had a transaction, you know, Mr. Realtor or Mrs. Realtor, that, you know, you've had to call and get a status, and you've had to chase, and you've had to follow up. And, you know, what is that cost for you? How much time have you spent? What if you could take that time and redirect it doing activities that are going to be a higher ROI for you, right? So I'm getting the agent to quantify how much they're chasing down lenders for information, because I want them to know, again, my rates are the same as everybody else. My programs are the same as everybody else. So why work with me? Because I'm going to save you time, and you're always going to know where your deals are at. And then the other piece, as far as communication goes, is like, I believe in my heart that a realtor in my market would be crazy to send their leads to anybody else, because I am going to give them the highest opportunity to convert that lead because of our follow-up, because of our processes, right? Like I just literally closed a deal with an agent who gave me a lead, no joke, in 2017. And it was an open house lead that he sent to me. And just because of Jungo, just because this person's been receiving our stuff over time, right? Like I'm not still manually calling this person however many years later, right? 7 years later. But this person finally raised their hand and was like, hey, we're finally ready. We want to get pre-approved. Can we talk? And I was like, yes, we can. So called the client, got them pre-approved, called the realtor, and was like, hey, you know, this client, they're ready to go. Here's what they qualify for. And he was like, no, I think you have the wrong person. That's not my client. I was like, no, it is. Like, you sent them to me in 2017. You met them at this open house. And the realtor, like, fell through the floor. And he was like, holy crap, like, way to convert. Like, I don't even remember that person. And I was like, well, they're your client. Like, they're ready to go. I told them you're going to call them. So, and, you know, we just closed. So
that's awesome.
I think communication, so that the realtor doesn't have to wonder, and communication and process so that you can help your realtors convert at the highest level, like that, you're going to help them make more money, right? And you have to be able to say, I'm not just going to help you make more money, but here's my process and my system and how I'm going to do it.
That's awesome. And I think that that's really a testament, right, to just how sometimes that drip marketing just kind of keeps planting a seed. It's like it's always kind of watering the plant a little bit, or watering that seed that's been planted. So that's really, really cool. Now I know there's been some big talk here in the last couple of days, and I can't get away without talking about it, you know, with the interest rates. So, you know, things have been fluctuating the last couple of years. It's been really rough. And I know that you were, you know, kind of seeing this coming and things like that. What are some things that people can do to, like you saw it coming, what did you start doing to really prepare yourself? But also on the other hand, what are you going to think might be done differently if there's now like this, now there's a shift. We've now had another, you know, the market's kind of going a different way. So what does all that kind of look like to you?
So I think for me, right, I want to make sure that I'm still staying super purchase focused. So I'm not letting my foot off the gas in that direction. But I also want to make sure I can service my past clients and help them save money if the opportunity makes sense, right? But I can't spend all day calling through my database to mine through these leads. So the first way that we're doing it, well, there's a couple of things. One is a blast text message. So we actually just sent out a blast text message last week through Jungo to our past clients. And it simply, and this was kind of a campaign to pick up some cash out refis, although we sent it to everybody, right? I didn't just send it to the people who have rates, you know, over 7%, or just the people that closed in the last 2 years. I am a firm believer of like casting a wide net, right? Because even if someone has a 5% or 4% interest rate, if they get this text message, maybe since I've done their loan, they now have 60 grand in credit card debt and they're drowning, or their life has changed, or, right? So I think sometimes we cast the net too small. So I literally blasted it out to all my past clients, and we picked up deals the same day, refis, because of it, both rate and term and cash out. And it literally was a text message. Kind of funny that I came up with the scripting from, thank you, ChatGPT, I was like, I
Yeah.
want to, do a text message to my database. My average client on a cash out refi is saving $500 a month. I want to blast this out. So ChatGPT gave me, some one or two liner, and immediately the phone rang. Immediately we got text
That
back.
is
Immediately we started
awesome.
getting emails. And it took us all of, 10 minutes for me to ChatGPT it and for it to get blasted out to our database. And the people that raised their hands the first, obviously we're going to them. It's super fast. They're people that are interested. And so it's very efficient as far as time goes. We're not spending a ton of time having to, mine the database. Like, let me just cast
Right.
this net. I'm putting, 1,000 fishing poles in the water. Let me see who bites. I'll go to them first. And
Yeah.
then we will cast more nets, right, for the rate and term, for the lower rates, for the streamlines and all that.
Right. Got it. And and it's really incredible to hear how like something so small can have such an impact, right? I mean, it's a game of numbers really, because it's you kind of look at it from perspective of maybe like having a party, right? If you invite 100 people to a party, maybe only 30 people are going to show up, or maybe RSVP, but then only maybe 15 or 20 show up. But that's the amount of people that show up. So it's like those are those leads that you could possibly have there versus, only inviting 20 people to the party, right? So you can have that bigger net there that you're talking about, which is really cool. And also it's just insane. It's just also really cool to me here to see how just like one text message, like that's all that it took to get a deal. So
Yeah.
it's very, very cool. Well, let's shift gears. I want to actually have you show us what's going on in your Jungo account, if you don't mind, and maybe we could kind of talk about how you kind of optimize this and processes and things like that. So I'm going to just turn it over to you and let you kind of show us what you got going on here. So,
Sure. So let's see here.
okay, so it's going to make you the presenter, so you should see a little thing pop up and then allow you to pick the monitor that you want to share.
Great. Okay, so let's see now. I did practice this earlier. Let's see if I did it.
Yep, it looks like we're good.
Okay, let's see. Okay, can you see my Jungo screen?
I can. It's in a classic view, but yeah, I can see it. Is that right?
Yes. Okay,
Cool.
so here's something else. I don't do well with change. When it comes to technology, I'm like, I know what I want to do, but I really rely like on other people to help me implement, because I'm like, I know my visual, this is what it's just, okay, you caught me. I'm still in
all,
classic mode.
all good.
I
All
haven't
good.
been able to switch. Okay, and then let me move this. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll move this guy out of the way. Okay, so this is Holly Proctor. This is a fake person that we put in a while ago when we were testing different things. So this is our main contact page. So you'll notice phone burner opt out. So I also will use something called phone burner, which I have plugged into my Jungo, that allows me to, like if I know I'm going to do mass dialing, whether I'm calling through a bunch of realtors, inviting them to an event, I'm calling a bunch of past clients to do a check-in, I'm calling a bunch of old leads that we never converted to see if I can see where they're at, I'm calling old TBD pre-approved clients, right? So I have all the clients grouped. And through Jungo, I can start what's called a phone burner session, which it takes that group of clients. It will start dialing them, and I just click on the screen. If they answer, then I click, hey, we're having a live conversation. That's what I hope. I hope they answer, right? But if they don't answer, then, and I get their voicemail, as soon as I hear voicemail, I just click the voicemail button, and it will automatically drop a voicemail that I recorded right before I started that session. So if, I'm calling pre-approved clients, I might say, hey, it's Monica Jones. I'm calling to personally see how your house hunting is going. Rates have come down. I want to make sure that we've updated your pre-approval so that you know what that does to your payment or how much that can boost your purchasing power. Call me back, right? And so if I know I'm calling TBDs, I record that voicemail before I start the phone burner session so that if I get their voicemail, I just click the voicemail button. I don't have to spend all the time listening to their outgoing message. I don't have to spend the time saying the same message, 40 different times. I just drop it and it automatically starts dialing the next person. So it's a time saver, and it also helps me not squirrel out, because if I have to hang up the phone, look up the number, dial the next person, I'll get distracted with an email notification or a social media notification. So phone burner helps me not squirrel out. So we have our leads or our contacts in these different stages that we can categorize. So we know, how we need to follow up, or how we need to communicate, or what the messaging should be for these people, okay? We also have something called like a marketing stage. So these are some of the workflows that we have built out. So if this is, let's say, a new lead and we're still trying to connect with that lead, they haven't responded at all to our calls, texts, videos, emails, they're on this drip campaign. As soon as they respond one time and say, oh, hey, I want to talk to you, but I'm out of town till next week, we would pull them off this drip and then set a follow-up. And then if we don't hear back or connect with them, they would go on a different campaign at that point. A lead tracker status. So every day we review our lead tracker. So this is how we look at our leads on a daily basis that we get. My team prints out the lead tracker for me every day so we can see for the month, here's all the leads that we've got. We've got them color coded. So like my yellows are all the leads we received that we have not connected with, we haven't taken an application from. The next would be people that we've taken an application from. We've sent them the link to our blend, our client portal for them to upload their documents, but they haven't uploaded it yet. Or we can say, hey, they've uploaded some documents, but we actually need more, or docs received in the morning, hey, we got these, that means we got to review those packages today so that we can, pre-approve the client, or once we actually pre-approve them, right? So you can see kind of where our leads, how we decision them, essentially.
Awesome.
Last touch, this is a super important field, but because it's a test case, we don't really have a last touch, but anytime we talk to a client or we have a conversation, we'll put whatever the last touch is. Like, this is a new lead, spoke to them briefly, they were at work, they wanted to chat tomorrow at 5 o'clock, phone appointment scheduled with Monica, right? Whatever that last touch is, goes here. The reason the last touch is super important is that our realtors every week will get a Refinity report.
Okay.
And that Refinity report is basically a recap of all of the leads that we have, and it shows who we're still trying to connect with, who we're waiting on documents from, who we have pre-approved, or who's in contract. And our last touch, our notes will always show here on that Refinity report. So again, a realtor doesn't ever have to call me to say, hey, where are we at with that lead? They get the report every single week. And then also, you'll see down here, we've got it built so that when we update Jungo, the realtor automatically is getting the update to know the movement in real time. Now, if I talk to a client and let's say we schedule a meeting, the type of meeting is scheduled or noted here, right? Are we doing a Zoom? Is it a phone appointment? Are they coming into the office? What's the date? The time is on here. This automatically carries over on every new contact so that if we do schedule the Zoom, the client, Jungo, will automatically send a reminder, and if Zoom is selected, it'll send them the day of the reminder, our Zoom link, so it's at the top of their email the day of, or if we schedule a face-to-face, it'll send them my work address the day of as a reminder automatically. So again, my team, myself, we're not fielding, hey, where's the Zoom link? Or, hey, what's your address again, right? Like it's automatically sending those reminders. So here, obviously, I have a database, right? It's just a regular client. If this was a realtor or a referral partner, we would put the name of their company there so that we can pull reports by different real estate offices if we needed to. We put lead receive date here. We will track from the time a lead is received, like how long it takes on average till they send us their docs, till we get approved, till we get a contract. And it used to be, back when things were really, really, really easy, right? a lead was received, and I think our average back then was about 92 days. So it's like from lead to deal was about a 92-day cycle, right?
Right.
And so I needed to have good follow-up within that 92-day window to stay in front of my pre-approved clients.
Right.
I started to see that lead to deal became longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, my 90-day campaign is not going to cut it because people are not buying within 90 days of me pre-approving them. Now it's taking months, right? So again, if we know our data, it can tell us the story about our business, and then it will tell us how we need to shift or what we may need to add to adapt to a changing market. So I knew my 90-day pre-approval campaign wasn't going to cut it because the average days from lead to deal was getting longer and longer. So we built out a 12-month CBD campaign. So once I mark that somebody is pre-approved, that puts them on a whole nother workflow that will show videos from me about what they should be like hearing and seeing throughout the process, right? And as we get further along, there's a video from me being like, hey, don't be discouraged, right? Like, it's going to be okay. We're here for you, right? Or maybe it's kind of the 10 commandments, the do's and don'ts. Hey, I know we talked about this, but it's been a while since we did your pre-approval. I want to make sure you know, don't go out and buy a car, or quit your job, or, different things. So the workflows help a ton. The type of loan we're looking at, initial, scenarios, so we can track, all of these things. Over here, who are referral sources, here this NEBA video campaign. So every time we get a new lead, we'll put them on a campaign. And we've got additional workflows over here. And again, these campaigns have videos, text, calls, and cards automated. And then it will send us a message for the calls. Like, hey, don't forget to call Susie Q, right? So like the only thing manually that we really need to do is the call. The text, video, email, even the cards we can automate, or a card would go to my admin to say, hey, send out the happy house hunting card. Like as soon as we pre-approve somebody, so in my office, we're all about making mortgages fun again. Like we know everybody wants to buy a house and nobody wants to get a mortgage, right? Like it's a necessary evil. It's like going to the dentist, something you have to do, not something that you want to do. So we're like, how do we make it fun, and how do we make our clients feel good? And how do we, every time they hear from us, it's not just us bugging them for paperwork, right? So once we change the stage to show, oh, this client's now pre-approved, right? A message goes to my admin that says they're pre-approved, so she knows to send out the happy house hunting card. And it's, my team and I, like, all drawn up as characters, and we're like in a safari jungle setting, like happy house hunting. And so we just try to make people laugh and smile and feel good throughout the process. This NEBA campaign, this is when we turn this on, when we get a new lead, it will send out a video automatically, introducing the client to the team, who we are, what we're about, how excited we are to connect with them. And then over the course of the next 2 weeks, it will send them 4 testimonial videos. It's kind of evidence of success. So again, we're not having to send it out. We're not having to do anything manually. It just happens automatically as soon as they go in there and they get put on that campaign.
What platform are you using for the videos?
Vidyard.
Vidyard, okay. Vidyard.
Yes.
Is that Vidyard?
Vidyard, Vidyard.
Okay, Vidyard. Okay, cool. That's because I know that one that we have an integration with is BombBomb, but I know that there's always people are looking for different things and stuff like that. So it's always good to know other platforms that might be possible. So Vidyard is definitely one to maybe check out if you guys are interested in that too. So
yeah, very cool. Vidyard is a little bit more user friendly. Our company has an enterprise agreement. It's very inexpensive, and it works well for us. And then again, here will kind of be like a snapshot of any communication, so that if, let's say, and this happens sometimes, like, hey, Monica, it's a realtor, and they're like, Susie Q, client says she hasn't heard from you guys. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, right? Because I can literally go and see like date and time stamps of everything. And then I can see my team, anytime they put something in the last touch, we'll kind of copy paste it here just so I can get a very quick bird's eye view of, that's weird because it looks like we left them a message and a text on the 8th. We connected on the 9th. We followed up the 13th, right? Like it's a bird's eye view right here, super quick. So like, I know if anyone says, oh, they said you haven't followed up, I'm like, BS. Like, you know, I know everything's on it. And I also know I have Jungo, and Jungo never calls in sick. It's never hung over. It does exactly what it's supposed to do every single time. Like, sorry, but no. Okay. So that's important. This initial referral, and I think over here, and honestly, my team does more of this. So they're kind of like the Jungo experts. I'm like a novice. But we'll even put in on a Realtor page the date of last referral, because I also have Jungo notifying me if 30 days have gone by with one of my top agents and I haven't got a referral, right? It'll send an email like, hey, it's been 30 days since we've gotten a referral from, you know, Susie Realtor. And every time we will tag a Realtor in here, like let's say L Fernandez, when we enter a new contact and we say L Fernandez referred it, Jungo will also send a message to my team. Hey, make sure you update the last referral date in Jungo, right? To make sure we're keeping that up to date. And again, that's just one way to make sure if for some reason, like we want to stay sticky and top of mind, and we've got some kind of fail safe built in there to be able to do that. Where some of the automation comes in during the initial lead stage is over here. So let's say we get a lead and we say, okay, I connected with the client. I would just plug in the date right here to say we just connected. I would hit save. And then what that would do would send a message to the Realtor saying, thank you so much again for the referral. Like we just connected with the client. So you'll see right here, email sent, notified referral that the contact has been made. It's letting them know, hey, we connected, right? Awesome. So like in real time, as soon as I get a lead, I'm like, awesome, I'm gonna call them now. If I call them now and I connect live, I just add that date. The Realtor knows immediately, we just connected, we requested their paperwork, we're on it, right? If I call them and I get their voicemail, then I just put the date in here, and then the Realtor gets notified, hey, we just called, we got their voicemail, we have a follow-up set again, right? We're going to follow up the next day. So the Realtor knows in real time, right? If we also, maybe sometimes we don't have a phone number, we just have an email. So the Realtor says, hey, we've gotten it, we've sent them an email, we're going to continue to follow up. When we send a needs list, we would put that date in here, which automatically within 48 hours would trigger my team to say, hey, have we gotten their docs, right? They would get a notification via email so that, you know, they can follow up or look back in here. If they started blend. So what we were noticing, right, sometimes clients we'd send them blend, which is our online, you know, document portal, whatever, and sometimes they would start, but then they would stop. They wouldn't submit the application, or they wouldn't get, you know, they wouldn't upload all their paperwork. So always a call goes first. So these workflows are always following a phone, like a real live phone call to say, hey, we see that you started. Doesn't look like you quite finished. Did you have any questions? Is there anything we can do to help you? Would you like us to do it with you over the phone right now? Right? But again, if we don't reach them live, we leave the message, and then the team or myself would click this button, and then they get a video from me basically saying what we said on the video, but it's me, right? So here's the other piece. As you scale your business, right, like I can't chase, you know, we get on a low month, maybe 60 leads on a normal, I don't know what's normal nowadays, I don't know, but not a COVID year, not a this year, but like in a normal year, 80 to 100 leads a month is very typical. And it's like, we can't chase everybody, I can't do it all, right? And stay on top of it and do a great job. So the team helps me with this, but I want the clients to feel like I'm involved, even if I'm not the one who's doing it, right? I want them to feel like I'm very connected to the process and exactly what's going on. And so I click this button, right? And then if we click this button, then they will get a video from me saying, hey, I see that you started your online application. It doesn't look like you finished. Do you have any questions? We'd love to help. We just left you a voicemail. You know, call us back. Let us know if there's anything we can do. So it's also, they got the email video. It also sent them a text because some people work better on text versus email. It also notifies the realtor, hey, just so you know, they've started their app, but they have not completed it. We're following it, right?
Right.
So again, each one of these little clicks is 1 to 2 touches to the borrower and an update real time to the realtor. And that's a lovely frozen shot of my face there. There we go.
Yeah.
But hopefully you guys can
you
hear
get
me.
a little frozen there. Yeah, I just noticed that. Okay. Well, let's see.
Hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. So that's
I
all
can
that
still
really
hear you.
matters.
Yeah, you're still good. You're still good. Also, one thing I do want to preface is I know that she is working in Classic and she has that up, but just note that all that she's showing us too, that this would be the same in Lightning as well, that these are just custom fields with automations attached to them, just like you can do on Lightning or in Classic. So, so don't feel, there's just note that what you're seeing here will also work in Lightning as well too. So, and all the stuff that you have here, I think really goes back to building the system for your business. And also I can't thank you enough, Monica, for coming on here and talking about data, because I think that's one thing that I stress a lot in the trainings that I do is really kind of like talking about the data, like make sure your data is good and make sure that you have solid data to begin with, and you take the time to put that data in, because it comes back tenfold, and you could track these trends. You can do those things, right? Because if you do have crap data, you're not going to be able to really, see how long it takes to close these applications, or how long it's taking, since that initial contact, or, when was the last time you had contact with the actual person? So you get what you put into it,
Right.
essentially.
That's huge. And honestly, you guys, being able to have this information, pull out these stats, have the data, it really does separate you when you go to sit down with a realtor, because now you've got real hard numbers, you've got your stats, you say, hey, I convert at this percentage, most leads or most time it's this percentage. Like, this is one way you separate yourself. And I actually will bust out my workflows in an agent meeting to say, this is how, when I say you're going to earn more money by having me on your team and in your corner, it's because of our process, it's because of our systems, our structure, and then being able to actually show them that printout. They're like, holy cow, now I'm not just a loan officer, I'm a business partner, I'm a businesswoman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it really does help elevate you in terms of standing out from other loan officers.
Awesome.
Now, and again, just to preface, I'm sure that Lightning is probably 10 times better, and I'm sure you're going to arm wrestle me to try it after this. But yeah, so I know Lightning can do everything, and I'm sure more than what I've got going on in here in Classic.
It's all good. And honestly, the way I look at it really is yeah, we train in Lightning, but there's still things in Classic that run a little faster. And I know that if we advertise it, but if it, like you said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If it works for you, and if it's easier for you to understand and for you to utilize the system, I'm all for it. So I mean, by all means, do what you got to do. So it's and obviously you've been very successful with it. So I'm not gonna, I think that keep but like I said, everything you guys see here can also be in Lightning. These are just literally that she has just custom fields with custom labels and automations attached to them. That's at the end of the day, that's just what it is that she's doing here. But she's taken the time to build out these automations as the bigger picture here, and taking the time to tailor the business and look at those trends and that kind of stuff. So now one question I do want to ask you, with your marketing stuff that you do here, and I think you may have kind of alluded to this about casting the bigger net, when you are reaching out to, say, the realtor referrals, are you kind of focusing on a specific group of folks, or are you casting that really big net as well for the realtors?
So when I do mass emails, okay, yesterday was the big Fed announcement, right? That's a super wide net. So here's kind of my thought. If it takes me no extra time, energy, or money, I want to send it to as many people as I can.
Okay.
I'm not going to get my feelings hurt if they email back and say stop, or remove or unsubscribe or whatever.
Right.
I don't get in my feelings about that. That is okay. That means I'm going big, right? I'm okay going big. I'm okay if people choose to excuse themselves from my wide net. There's nothing wrong with that. I won't get my feelings hurt. So that goes to everybody. Now, if I'm, doing something a little bit more special, I'm inviting people to, my business planning, that's going to be a little bit more exclusive. That's me pouring my time, my energy, and my money into training these people, feeding these people, preparing materials, like doing everything I can to like get them ready for the new year. Like I want that to go to the people that are currently working with us and supporting our business, right? Because we want to pour into them as much as we can. And I don't know how much more, but literally every single one of these things have updates to the realtor, updates and follow-ups to the client. It triggers the next thing for my team. Even if we receive documents and then we review them the same day or the next day, but then we realize, oh shoot, like they didn't tell us they are self-employed, and I could see that they've got, a partnership. So now I need to ask for that. We even have, like, when we say, hey, we got documents, and then we click this 24 or 48 hour or 72 hour button, that's me telling the client a video, hey, we got your documents, thank you so much. We're going to have everything reviewed and analyzed and have detailed loan options ready for you within 24 hours, right? Or if we're a little bit busier, we might check the different box. It also sends an email or text notification to the realtor saying, hey, we got the docs, we're going to have an update within 24 hours, 48 hours, right? So it'll tailor those. And then once we get the docs and we review it, if we're like, oh shoot, we need more paperwork before we can really decision this file, we just check this box and it notifies the realtor, we got the docs, we reviewed them, but we need more info, right?
Gotcha.
So it's like literally the realtor gets the weekly update on all the leads. They get live real-time updates as we're moving, throughout. We set our follow-ups for when we need to like manually check the file, check in with the client, something here, right? Maybe they're, I don't know, they say they got too much going on, follow up with them within 30 days. Maybe they just had a big life event and they don't want to talk about mortgages, follow up in 30 days, right? So we'll set the follow-up there, and then we'll say what the reason is so that, a month from now when we're like, what the heck are we calling them to talk about? We know, what the reason is. Once we track this, once we've got them pre-approved, we can plug in all the data there. Again, when we put this in here, we can literally tell, like kind of send almost like a prescription, like, okay, you sent us the client, they're now pre-approved for $950 with a 20% down payment or whatever it may be. And let me see, we don't use these, and again, this is a test case in here, but I think the other place we might want to look is in loans, and I don't have a loan for this person started, so let me just see who would be, let's see, let me just pull up one here. Okay, so this would be an actual transaction page, right? So again, any like activities that happen here, about for us as far as, contingency dates, right? 48 hours before the contingency dates, my team's getting an email like, hey, are we on track? If not, like move hell or high water in the next 48 hours to make sure we're on track.
Right.
And then updates are going to the borrower, like, hey, we ordered your appraisal. This is what an appraisal is. This is what it means, right? Like, but it's a video from me. So again, the clients feel like I'm super engaged on every single step. I'm hand-holding them every single step of the way, which again, as you get more leads and close more deals, it's harder to do that in real time. And what I had found as my business started to grow is that if I wanted to do it all myself, I was very inconsistent, because it was just too much to do when you got busier, or if you're out of town, oh, then shoot, that client didn't really get that explanation. They didn't get that update. But by building it in, now I know my clients are getting a consistent experience. I know exactly what I'm saying, what they're being told or not told. Obviously, we would put, the realtors in here. If they have TCs, we would put the TCs in here. And that way the TCs also get notified in real time of everything that is happening. Something else that we do, like even for people that we refer to a lot, right? Like, hey, I know home insurance. We need home insurance on every file. So I can just select one of these tags right here, one of these people. These are one of my insurance teams that I would refer to. And as soon as I click on this and click save, this person would get an email saying, hey, I want you to meet, Aaron Olson. He's buying the house here in Vegas, and he needs insurance, right? And it's sending a group email introduction so I can refer like my CPAs, my financial planners, my insurance people with a click of a button, because I already have their introductions built out through Jungo. And again, it's like very, very easy to do. So I think those are kind of some of the main pieces. A couple other little odds and ends, aside from Refinity, aside from being able to text or do, mass calling. I also have it set up for our realtors where, we've got the client's birthday in Jungo. We've got the date they closed on their house in Jungo. So we will send a text reminder or an email reminder to the realtor on their client's birthday anniversary the week before to say, hey, it's our past client Susie's birthday, in 7 days. Like, when we give them the date. So we're helping our realtors because they're not tracking it probably. If we're all being honest, right? They're not tracking it. Right. So we're helping. We want them to look good and to call the client on their birthday and on their home anniversary. But again, if I have to do it every single time and remind the realtor, it's going to be spotty. So we just built it out in Jungo so that it's a consistent process.
That's actually something that I had never thought of, like to remind the realtor to like, hey, our mutual client. I mean, I know we have the concierge program, we have some things, for you guys, but I never would have thought that it's kind of like, well, if you win, we both kind of win in that way. So, and I think that's actually a really good approach. So, I think I like these little unique things, and that's why we have these interviews too, is because we hear about little tips and tricks like that can probably, I'm sure, go a long way. And one thing I've also noticed kind of between your contacts and your loan pages is you have like your loan process checklist, but you kind of use it more as like a date saver versus it being like a checkbox thing. And then you kind of have more of the process checklist stuff on the contact page. So it's like you kind of have like a contact checklist and then like a loan checklist thing. And I think that's cool. It's just a little bit different way of doing things. And it's cool to see that. So, but it's also kind of keeping all that information in different ways. And so you can kind of see how it's all working. Very cool. Well, I know that we want to have some time for questions, but is there any like final things you want to say before we kind of get into questions? Or is there any advice maybe to new people that are new to Jungo, or people that have maybe new loan officers that are kind of getting out there and trying to get their feet wet, just because you've got that experience. So I'm sure they probably want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I would say with Jungo, the biggest thing is, I think the best thing about Jungo is it can literally do like anything and everything that you want it to. The hard part about Jungo is it can literally do anything and everything that you want it to. So if you go down the rabbit hole by yourself, it could be very overwhelming. Right. So my number one recommendation is hire. Just say, here's what I want it to do, and then hire, right? Like, you guys could build it out. Hire someone to build it out for you. Otherwise, it won't happen. Or you'll spend, it'll never get implemented. So, like, I kind of tried to like, we can figure out how to program this. There's step by steps, but it, and then I'm like, I'm going to be here all day, and I need to do loans. So I'm not a IT person, so let me bring on the people and just say, here's what I want it to do. Help me with that. So that was super helpful for me. And what else too? I think the biggest piece is using Jungo. Like, Jungo does not replace like the real live phone call. It doesn't replace the face-to-face, but it can pretty much do just about everything else. So, use it to save time. Use it because, it's so easy. Like, any inbound phone call that you get in the next 10 days, log it. Like, what was that phone call about? If it's a new lead, awesome. But if it's people asking questions like, hey, why did I get this tax bill? What is this? What does this mean? Like, so now I've got a video that goes out to my people, right, 4 months after they close, talking about supplemental tax bills. Hey, you're going to get this bill in the mail. I can tell them when I pre-approve them or when they close, but they're obviously going to forget about it, right? Right. But if I know the timing of everything, right, if I'm getting a bunch of phone calls about that, let me plug in a video and let me time it out so that I can, number one, proactively communicate so that when my clients do get it in the mail, they're like, oh, Monica just sent us a video on this a few weeks ago, right? So, log the inquiries that you're getting in, because that will help you kind of figure out what kind of proactive communication you can, build out so that you don't have as many interruptions or as uncertain clients or people with questions, right? Like, you want to be able to get ahead of it to proactively communicate.
Yeah.
And then for me, obviously, coaching and systems and process was, I would say, a massive change in my business, like unbelievable. So I think have a coach, right? Like, I think in life, we're either drifting, we're super driven and working hard, or we're directed, right? So drifting, especially in a market like this, it's so easy to drift because it's frustrating and it's like you feel a little beat down, right? In a market like this, so you can kind of drift. I see that happen all the time. You can be super driven where you're just like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to work my tail off. And I, see a lot of people doing that, and that works. But then you'll like hit a glass ceiling. You're like, why can't I get past this one level, right? Like, and then you could be directed. And being directed means you're held accountable. It means you're pushed. It means you're looking at your data, you're tracking. I mean, it's the next level. So depending on where you want to go in your business, I would ask myself, am I drifting? Am I driven and trying to do it all by myself? I mean, you can get like those little racer cars and you kind of pull them back and they'll like, but they like kind of go all over the place, right? So being directed is like pulling you back and making sure that you're going straight forward. And being directed is so important, especially in the climate that we're in. So for me, coaching the core was a huge part of that, and it's really how I learned all these systems. Like I'm not just like a brainiac. I am like a huge believer in see what other people do that are more successful than me and do that. That's, really what I do. And again, surrounding yourself with people that are, as obsessed and love this business as much as I do and love helping people and delivering a great experience has made all the difference.
That's awesome. And I think that's great feedback, as it's great to hear that you can make connections with people and just, put yourself around people that are going to elevate you and help you get better at what you're doing. And like you said, you have to put the time into it. It goes back into the system. You got to put time into learning the system or having it built out to the way that it's going to work for you. So, well, I know there might be a few questions, and I know you kind of a hard stop, but I want to make sure we do have a couple questions here. So I will take back over on the presentation here. So let me get my screen shared again. Let's go. Cool. All right. So we'll go ahead and jump into the Q&A. And I know there's a couple questions that we'll go ahead and get started here. Let's see. Let me pop this out real quick. So right now, so this is from Tony, and I guess it goes, so your realtor gets a notification anytime your last touch is updated.
So they do not, not anytime the last touch is updated, but that last touch is, it shows on our Refinity report, which is the weekly update that they get of all their leads. So every week, and they tell me what day they want it, depending on, I say, hey, I'm going to send you a report, an update on your leads every single week. It'll include the client's email, their phone number. So if you want to use it as like a call sheet for that day, you can. Is there a day that works best for you that you would like me to send you the report on? Some people want it on Monday, some want it on Wednesday, Friday, whatever. So we just schedule it as the realtor requests. It's got all the client's contact info. It has their stage, whether it's like, okay, we need their docs, they're pre-approved, they're still just a lead, we haven't connected yet, or if they're in contract, whatever it is. And then it'll have whatever our last touch is for the client. Like, okay, we followed up on September 18th and left a voicemail and sent a text, or whatever the last touch is.
Got it. Okay. And then Tony also has kind of a follow-up question here. It was, I'm not sure, she says that she loves the functionality, but I'm not sure what functionality she's referencing. So maybe, Tony, if you want to give us a few more details on that. But she said she'd love to get some information on how to do the reminder from Jungo automatically in our account. So maybe if that jogs your memory. That was a little bit ago, but there was one of the functionality parts that I think that she really liked. I want to get some more information on. And then this one, I'll skip to the next one, give Tony maybe a question to answer that. But Cindy Tansen is asking, how does Jungo send reminders for the Zoom calls? So how do you guys have that set up?
Ooh, that's kind of a techie question.
Yeah.
So how it does it, I don't know. It's a magical thing. I'm not sure exactly how it happens, but
Okay.
Just basically by us plugging it in there, it has the date, it has the time of the meeting, and it will automatically send a reminder. Jungo also actually sends me a text message reminder in the morning. I think it's 7:30 or 8 a.m. because I want to see, like, as I'm, getting ready before I leave the house, the reminder of all the meetings that I have scheduled that day. So it'll say, hey, don't forget, you've got this call at 9 a.m. or this Zoom at 10 or whatever it is. So it reminds me first thing in the morning so I can kind of see what my day is going to be, like in a recap as I'm getting ready, and it will remind the client the day of as well.
Awesome. Cindy, I do know that there is a Zoom integration with Salesforce as well, so you might want to look into that. We're actually going to be doing some switch up. We've actually kind of started to make the change for us for Zoom on our end as well to that integration. So, but I would definitely take a look at the Zoom integration. That might be something that might work for you as well. Veronica, the next question I have here, and this is, I think, the last question we have is, how many people are on your team or is working for you, I should say.
Yes. So I've got 2 people on my team.
2 people. Okay, cool. So it's yourself and then 2 others.
Yes.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. And I think that's all the questions that we have for now. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And I can't thank you enough for all of the great information. I mean, it's been really cool. And also I like seeing, anytime anybody does something differently on their account, I love seeing it. So thank you so much again, Monica. It's been a pleasure. And we hope that, wish you all the best in the future and, keep, sounds like you've got some really cool stuff going on with that core, like teaching. And I think that's one of the best ways you can learn how to do something is by teaching other people how to do it as well. So,
but 1,000,000%, yes.
Yes, definitely. So, but we appreciate your business with Jungo and also coming today. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Before I wrap up, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know that if you aren't one of our customers yet, but are interested in coming here and being one of our customers, just know that we do offer quite a bit. We are the #1 customer success platform on here, which is built on Salesforce, and we are a one-stop solution for all of your financial needs, and then also all of that awesome integrations and things and all of the automations that Monica was showing us all throughout her account today. All are great things that we can build out and tailor just to you.
And I will just say, if you're not a member of Jungo, sign up for Jungo. I told you guys, I talk to loan officers all over the country. I've seen every CRM out there. Hands down, nothing compares to Jungo. So if you're wondering what you should get, it's this.
I love it. Thank you, Monica, for that awesome plug. And that actually leads us into here. So if you are if you're joining us today and you came to the webinar and you have not signed up with us, you're going to get $200 off of Jungo just for attending the webinar today. And then if you are an existing member, we're going to give you guys a little bit of a discount there on any pro services. So if you see Monica inspired you to go do something in your account, we're going to give you guys a little bit of a discount on getting that done. So, but feel free to reach out to us and let us know what you would like assistance on. And then again, thank you guys all so much for attending today, and we look forward to seeing you guys at the next one. So, and if any other questions do pop up after today's webinar, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and open a case, or you can reach me at training@ijungo.com. That's training@ijungo.com, and I'll answer any of those questions. So, but again, thank you guys so much for attending today. Thank you again, Monica, and we look forward to speaking with all of you guys in the future. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
For more solutions and additional training materials, please be sure to check out our training center found in Jungo. You can also access Jungo by visiting help.ijungo.com.